All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to mute everybody on this call just so we don't have any feedback. Let's see. All right. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the whole agenda, go through the whole PowerPoint. And then if you do have any questions, we can open up for questions at the end, either if you want to unmute yourself for questions at the end, or if one pops up in your head and you want to save it, just throw it in the chat and I will go through the chat at the end as well and answer any questions that'll be sitting in there after the presentation. So again, welcome. My name is Steve Porter, and I am the camp director here at Camp Frontier. And I put this presentation together today really quick just to basically throw together some stuff, especially for this year with COVID-19 and a lot of the changes that we're having for camp. But we generally have an in-person meeting. We decided to do a Zoom one this year just to go over everything. So I will go over some general information as well. And I'm also recording this presentation session, and I'll put it up online and email it out to everybody. So that way we can have, if anybody didn't make it to the meeting, you can forward that on to them so they can take a look at it. Anyway, getting things started. Arrow of Light Camp for this year. One thing that we are offering this year that I put up on our Facebook page was our Bring a Friend discount. So this is something that is new that just came out in the last couple weeks. Our registrations are fairly low, especially for that first session. So we're trying to get some more scouts signed up if anybody wanted to register last minute. And scouts that are already registered, if they bring an unregistered friend, so somebody who's not registered in Cub Scouts, age 9 or older, they'll receive a $20 discount off their fees. And then the friend will also receive a $20 discount off of their fees. So it's a discount for both people. And if you're interested in that, I can apply that to your account and get that person registered for the event. Just email me at steve.porter@scouting.org and I can get you the info on that. Let's see. Moving on, I wanted to talk about COVID-19 specifics for camp. So this is stuff that's not normal for our traditional Arrow of Light camp, but will be happening for this one specifically. We do have a group size limit of 10 people per group, and that is in terms of campsite groups and as program groups. So any of our program areas will only have 10 people in them at a time, same with our campsites. We're going to be making the assignments for campsites. So those of you who may be coming as lone scout pairs with just a parent or a child, or if you're coming with a very small group, may get paired with other groups as well for a total of up to 10 people. And if you have a large pack that's all coming and they're over 10, then you will have to split up into multiple groups to meet that number. I'm going to make those assignments as best I can. I try and keep like packs and districts and things together and group people with people that are close to them in their district and or keeping packs in the same area as well. So I'm going to be working on those over the next few days and getting those assignments made up so that way we can get them into campsites. We do have a medical pre-screening process. It's on page 15 of the Leader's Guide, and I'm going to show you that online at the end of this presentation. It basically is a flow chart. So we ask that you go through this flow chart right before you leave camp, leave your house to go to camp. So it basically asks questions on whether you have symptoms, whether you're an at-risk patient, whether you've been in contact with people who have had COVID. Just go through the steps and it'll basically let you know if you're eligible or not to come to camp during that specific day when you're going to go leave. Please, please, please do that before you come, because if you do carpool or come to camp together in cars, we will be doing a medical screening at camp as well, and we'll be asking those same questions in terms of the symptoms specifically, and we'll also be doing a temperature check. And if for some reason somebody doesn't temp correctly and they temp above our 100.4, then we're going to be having to send the entire car back home because they may have potential exposure. So to avoid those risks of having to have your car go home, make sure people are checking their temps before they leave the house, and that way they're not potentially infecting anybody else before they meet up for their carpooling, if you're choosing to do that, or meet up to come to camp. Carpooling is allowed, or you can choose to just individually ride as families to camp. That's up to you on how you want to do it, especially for those packs that are coming together. But either way works for us. At-risk individuals is outlined by the CDC. And if you just Google at-risk CDC for COVID-19, the list will come up. If you have anybody who's at risk, we are going to need a doctor's note allowing them to come to camp. If not, those participants are required to stay home. We are doing this on the Scouts honor, so we're not going to be asking at-risk questions or at-risk things when you arrive at camp, but if you do need to have that note, please include it with your health form when you arrive, so that way we have it when you get there. We do have a requirement for masks at camp. We're wearing masks inside our program areas and inside all buildings. We're not requiring masks walking around outside of our program areas or back in the campsite, but we are requiring social distancing during that time. So when you're walking around or if you're back in the site, we're going to ask that you keep 6 feet away from others as much as possible. In the campsite, we have special tables set up for eating that allow for social distancing in the campsite. So that shouldn't be an issue back there. And then walking around camp, just make sure you're staying spread out. And then do always have a mask with you in your pocket. So that way, when you go into program areas, you can put those on when you enter. We are requiring that you bring your own face mask. We recommend bringing multiple pairs, so that way if one gets dirty, you can change it out for the next day. And it does not have to be a fabric, like actual mask. It could be a bandana. It could be one of those neck sleeve type things. It could be a neckerchief, anything that covers the nose and the mouth. So that way it's protecting stuff from your nose and mouth from getting out. Social distancing we talked about. We're going to encourage that in all our program areas and also in the campsites when we're walking around camp. As far as tenting goes, individuals that are in the same household, so siblings or mom and dad, can stay in the same tents together as long as they're meeting youth protection guidelines. So remember that parents can stay with their youth, but other adults cannot stay with youth that are not their own. So youth can only tent with other youth or with their parent or guardian. So if you want to stay in the same tent as a family, that's okay in Cub Scouts. Otherwise, if that's not an option, we're doing 1 person per tent. So we're not allowing youth of different households to stay together in tents together. We're going to ask that they stay in separate tents. Same with adults from different households. They need to stay in separate tents as well. All of our campsites will have 2-person platform tents where you can either have 1 bed or 2 beds in each one of those. And those will be set up all ready to go in your campsite for a total of up to 10 people. You're more than welcome to bring your own tents if you'd like to bring your own tents instead, and there's plenty of space in each one of the campsites to set those up. So feel free to bring those if you'd like, but know that we will have platform tents with cots and mattresses available to you no matter what when you arrive at camp in your campsite. We are requiring hand washing at camp when entering and exiting program areas, and we'll be providing supplies for that, either by hand washing or hand sanitizing. So that way the idea is if they have anything on their hands going into the program area, they'll be washing that off before they come in. And if they pick up anything in the program area on their hands, they'll be washing it off before they exit. We also have up to half an hour, if not more, time between each program area session to sanitize and wipe down areas with high touch surfaces. So that way when you come in and your group enters a program area, it will be completely cleaned and sanitized after the last group had already left. So that way you're going into a fresh area each time. Traveling around camp, we ask that you try and travel around camp with your campsite group, or if you guys are going to plan different things going around camp, like trading post visits or shower house visits or things like that, just take a poll and make sure that everybody who wants to go during that trip goes at that time. Don't be sending random people there every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because we're only limiting trading posts and shower houses to 1 group at a time. So it works out easier if you stop by. You can stop by as many times as you want, but try and do it as a group. At the trading post, we will have a buzzer on the door. So the door will be locked. You'll ring the bell and they'll let your group in. And then once your group's done shopping, they'll let the next group in. There's a waiting area outside for groups that are waiting for other groups to finish. Let's see, food service at camp. I know I had a lot of questions about food service. We are not running a traditional dining hall food service program for this program like normal, but we will be providing food catered to the campsites, and you'll be eating in your campsites individually. All of the food that will be coming to the campsites will be 100% prepared, hot, ready to go, and we'll be providing silverware, plates, anything that you need to eat that food with, and it'll be delivered to your site 3 times a day to eat there. So food, you won't have to do any cooking for food. You won't have to bring any table service or anything like that. It'll all be disposable stuff that you can just put in the trash bin and put out by the road at the end of the night. But we will not be eating as large groups in the dining hall as normal. So that'll be taken care of. And food service, again, delivered to your campsite, ready to eat, pre-portioned out, ready to go. There is a program area rotation, so the schedule is not open format like it is in the evenings normally for this program. We are only limiting each one of the program areas to a group at a time, and you get to rotate through all the program areas. Reason being, we're trying to keep people limited from exposure to other people, so we're limiting it to these 10-person groups that are going to be rotating around camp. And we'll look at a schedule a little bit later in just a second on that. As far as check-in goes, normally our check-in is at 3 o'clock, but that's because we're also running a Scouts BSA troops at the same time. This program is going to be run just for Weeblo's resident camp, and in order to get as much programming in as possible, we have moved our check-in up to 12:30 in the afternoon. So please plan on being there right around 12:30. We'll open the gates right at 12:30, get you in. We will have a medical pre-screening process at Loftus Lodge parking lot, and we'll direct you there when you get there. That'll happen in your vehicle. We'll come around to the vehicle and take our temperatures and do our pre-screening checks. We'll also take your medical forms at that time. The only paperwork that's required, but it is required for both youth and adults, is Part A and B of the BSA health form. We're not requiring Part C. It's under 72 hours, so we don't need the doctor's sign portion. We just need Parts A and B that are filled out by the parent, completed, and have those ready in your car to pass out the window when you show up to check in. So that way we can grab them, look through them, and then let you know if we have any issues later on during that day. Staff will direct you back to your campsite for further check-in and setup back in the site. We're not going to have a big check-in or setup area set up right up front to limit people gathering in large groups. And then your swim checks, rather than being done right when you check in, will be done during the beginning of your scheduled swimming time. So each section of program is an hour and a half long, and during that hour and a half, you'll have swim checks for the first 10 minutes to get those in. Program offerings. So we are offering pretty much the same programs that we were planning on offering, and we actually have a new belt loop that I don't think we traditionally offer that we're going to be putting in as well. So archery, boating. Archery will be up to 8 people shooting at a time, so everyone will get to shoot for up to an hour and a half, lots of extra time for shooting. Boating, again, will be for an hour and a half as well. We have rowboats, kayaks, canoes that you can take out and go boating. Fishing will be available and bait will be provided, so that'll be a scheduled time where you can come on down, grab a pole provided by camp, and go fishing off of our bridge or off of our dock and try and catch some fish. We will be offering BB guns as well. We'll be offering the climbing tower, and then the 3 different electives that you'll be earning at camp, should you complete every one of them, is the handicrafts project and also earning the build it elective. And then we're also going to do an ecology hike, and we'll get the into the woods elective. And then during your pool time, we'll be earning the aquanaut during the first part of that, and then any extra time will be available for open swim. So those are the program offerings that we're looking at. We do have some special evening insight programs. All of the ones that I just showed you on the slide previous, this one right here, are going to happen in the mornings and the afternoons, and you actually have one scheduled program your first day there that'll be happening on either Sunday or Wednesday afternoon when you check in, depending on your session. And then there'll be 4 additional ones on one day and then another 4 on the other day. So keep in mind that we will be rotating through projects on every single day, and I'll show you the sample schedule in a bit. But in the evenings, we have some special evening insight programs. One of them will be a root beer cantina, where we will drop off ice cream, root beer, and cups, root beer cantina cups, so you can have root beer floats back in the campsite that evening around the campfire. Another one will be a game night with snacks. So we'll be dropping off a deck or 2 of playing cards and a deck or 2 of Uno cards, and you'll get those games that you can play around at the picnic tables. And then we're also going to drop off a snack as well, which will be something along the lines of like Cracker Barrel snack or something like that. We haven't come up with the exact menu for it yet, but it'll be something easy to eat right in the campsite with no cooking or anything required on it. We're also offering a movie night, and that's going to be down at the amphitheater, and we're going to show a movie for up to 4 different groups at a time. And then all of these things that you see here will be scheduled into your itinerary when you arrive. So you'll be doing them on different nights. So you'll get to know what night you're doing those when you get there and get your itinerary. We'll let you know all that at camp. Schedules. Each campsite will have a specific agenda or itinerary. Those will be given out to groups when they arrive, so they'll know where they're going, and we'll have extra copies of those available with maps and things at camp. Evening programs will be delivered, like I said, to the campsites. So those supplies will be delivered to your site sometime after dinner is delivered. Here's a sample schedule. So I just wanted to go over it real fast. As you can see, 12:30 to 3, we're looking at doing check-in. During that time, we'll have our first program area at 4 to 5:30, or 4 to 5:30, and then dinner time, where we'll be delivering to the sites, will be sometime between 5:30 and 7 p.m. And then evening programs you'll be able to do in the evenings. And then that's pretty much how that first day will go. Then the next 2 days are going to have breakfast delivered to the site, 2 program areas, lunch delivered to the site, 2 more program areas, then dinner, and then an evening program, either in the site or at the amphitheater for your movie night, depending on what your schedule says. The third day is exactly the same as the second day. And then on the fourth day, we are getting up, cleaning up, having breakfast delivered at the site, checking out, and wishing you a rest of your summer, happy rest of your summer. So that is the sample schedule that we're looking at, and the specific itineraries will be available at camp when you check in. What to bring to camp. So these ones are just a no-brainer. Make sure you bring your water bottles to keep scouts hydrated. Also make sure that everyone has a poncho for rain, because if it does rain, many programs will still be running and go on, and a lot of times we can run in rain. The one we can't do is when we have thunder and lightning. That shuts down a few of our areas, but we're going to hope that we don't have that. But we'll make a game plan for backup activities if that does happen. But always have rain gear, because you may be walking around at rain. A school backpack, strongly recommended to help keep these supplies in for your day. And then packing list. There's a full packing list available on page 14. And one thing I'd add to this, just to remember to bring, is that those masks. Make sure that you have masks or something to cover your face. A couple changes for every person, so that way they can plan ahead and have those ready to go. Tenting. We talked about tent setup already. Tents will have platforms in each one of them that sleep up to 2 people. Members of the same household can share tents as long as they meet youth protection requirements. All others must sleep 1 person to a tent, and you can choose to use the camp tents, or you can bring your own. And I think that's all I had on the screen for you guys today. Let me take this down, and then we can do questions.